In this lesson, we're going to look at the prepositions in, on, and at for time. For example, if we say in June or on Friday or at night, we're thinking about time. Now, we're going to look at 16 different examples in this lesson. 7 are for in, 2 are for on, and 7 are for at. So let's get started with in. And we use in for longer periods. And there are 5 examples on this page, and each example has a picture to help you remember in future. Number 1, in June, we've seen already, and this shows us that we can use in for months. So, in June, in July, in August, and so on. Number 2 shows us that we can use in for years. The example here is in 2006. We could also say in 1996, in 2016, or in whatever year. Number 3, and this picture represents a particular decade. And the example here is in the 60s. We could also say in the 70s, or in the 80s, or in whatever decade. Number 4, this picture represents a particular century. The example here is in the 18th century. We could also say in the 19th century, in the 20th century, and so on. Number 5, this picture represents a particular season. The example here is in summer. We could also have in winter, or in autumn, or in spring. Now, as I said before, we normally use in for longer periods, like months, years, decades, centuries, and seasons. There are 2 more examples I want to show you which are not for longer periods. Number 6 first, and this is in for a time in the future. The example is, I'll do it in 5 minutes. And what this means is, I'll do it 5 minutes from now. We could also say in 2 hours, or in 5 days, or in whatever time. Finally, number 7 is in for time needed. And we can use the same example as before. I'll do it in 5 minutes, except here it means something completely different. Here it means I need, or it will take me 5 minutes to do the job or the task that I'm talking about. And again, we can say in 2 hours, or in 5 days, or whatever time. So that's in. Let's go now to on. And we use on for days and dates. 2 examples here. Number 1, on Friday, shows us that we can use on for days of the week. We could also say on Saturday, or on Sunday, or on whatever day. Number 2 is dates in the year, and the example is on the 23rd of March, for instance. Although speakers of American English will probably say March 23rd without the on. So that's on, days and dates. Let's go finally to at, and we use at for particular times. 6 examples on this page. Number 1, at 6 o'clock, shows we can use at for times of day. We could also say at 7:30, or at 10:45, or whatever time. Number 2 is at midday, or at midnight, again, times of day. Number 3 shows we use at for meal times. The example here is at lunch. We could also have at breakfast, or at dinner. Number 4 is at sunrise, or at sunset. Number 5 is at night. Be careful here because we can't say at day. Instead, we would probably say during the day. And number 6 shows we can use at for religious festivals. The picture example here is at Christmas. We could also say at Eid, or at Vesak, or at Diwali, and so on. Now, I said before that we can use at for particular times, like times of day, midday or midnight, at meal times, at sunrise or sunset, at night, and at religious festivals. I want to show you one final example, and this is number 7, at the weekend. 2 people lying on the grass. Although in American English, we'd probably say on the weekend. So that's the end of part 1. Here is the PDF, which you can download, and as you can see, it has all the examples for in, on, and at, plus the pictures to make them easier to remember. Join me now in part 2 for the practice exercises for the lesson.